Originally met Mark's father in literally like a casino environment, like the hotel we're in now. I called him up and I said, look, I really believe I could get this guy to sing in our previous band. And his dad, well, you know, damn it, every other minute the phone's ringing off the hook and girls are calling him. His dad was his best salesman. Unlike a lot of people's parents, they're very against them doing rock and roll. His father was really his best sales tool. And that's his dad now. Yeah. This is Mark Slaughter's father. This is Mark Slaughter's mother. These are two local friends that were probably the biggest single supporters of their son's career ever.
Trenton, a viewer here, he commented on one of my previous videos, a Foursquared video that I did with Rock and Metal Invasion, Steve, and we did The Wildlife and 3 other albums, and obviously ranked them against each other. So, but he commented and said he wanted to see what my ranking of the Slaughter catalog was. So, without further ado, we are going to jump in to the Slaughter catalog. And now, for anyone that's not familiar with Slaughter, Dana Strum, the bass player, Tim Kelly, the guitar player, and you got Blas Elias as the drummer, and then Mark Slaughter as the vocalist. And then also, too, for their final album, since Tim Kelly passed away, Jeff Blondo, I believe, did the guitar duties for the final album. So we do have 5 total albums from Slaughter, but now some people do know of Mark Slaughter and Dana Strum from their previous band before Slaughter, and that is Vinnie Vincent Invasion, that Dana Strum was a part of those 2 albums, and then Mark Slaughter was a part of All Systems Go. So, and I have to say, I am not a fan of Mark Slaughter in Vinnie Vincent. That album, that album. If you guys want to check out my thoughts on All Systems Go and the debut of Vinnie Vincent Invasion, check out this link right here. But as far as Slaughter goes, we have 5 albums to rank from 1990 to 1999.
I just wonder if you ever walk up there and you see all the pictures and everything, and you think, God, one day, what's it going to feel like when this isn't here anymore?
But I think it's a sense of live for the moment. That's what the Wildlife really stands for, is really live your life to the fullest and enjoy yourself. And
Good answer.
that's exactly what we're doing, and we're really enjoying the time out and getting ready to go out and have a great summer. It's a wonderful day today, and it's just the beginning of a great summer.
Mark Slaughter, ladies and gentlemen, that was good. Pitch came over and you went for it.
So coming in here at number 5, if you guys have followed the channel, you kind of had an idea of what probably my number 5 would be, and that is going to be The Wildlife. And obviously here, it's going to surprise some people because I have no idea why I have 2 copies of this album, to be completely honest with you, because this is like one of my least favorite albums of the genre.
That's right. I said it. I meant it. I'm here to represent it.
It's super disappointing, in my opinion, because when I was a young teenager, when I was a young little boy, I was a fan of the debut album. And I'm sure I got the second album soon after that. And I just was never impressed with it. And like I said, that's been 15 years now. And I listened to it recently as well for this video and for the Foursquare that we did about a month or 2 ago. And it's still not really doing anything for me other than, the title track. The Wildlife is a great song. Reach for the Sky is fine. The ballads on here I think are kind of weak, and not that Slaughter necessarily has the strongest ballads. I'm not here to defend or to really, stand by their ballad catalog. But, I mean, these are some of the weaker ones in the catalog, I would say. You had Days Gone By, and then you also had Real Love. They did have a music video for that as well. But I don't know. Old Man is one that did kind of grow on me. I do kind of like that one now. But originally, you have 14 tracks on here, and that's just way too many tracks, in my opinion. And 1992... there was a lot better things coming out from this hair metal genre, glam metal, sleaze metal. It's just there was so much greatness coming out in 1992, and this just kind of falls flat. And now when we get to an album later, I feel like if that would have came out in 1992, it would have done it would just fared better in and of itself, and Slaughter I think would have fared a little bit better. So, but I don't know. But you do get people that love this album at the same time. Like I know a couple people that love this album, but more times than not, I do see a lot of people that are like, yeah, this is certainly well, especially if you compare it to the debut, which it's a great debut. But when I don't know, this one just never like I never visit this. But like I said, there is like one or two songs I do have on the iPod that come on and I listen to, like I said, Wildlife and such. But just nothing very memorable in my opinion on this album. But I'm certainly interested to see what you guys had to say because I know that's probably the most controversial one here. Certainly, album maybe from Slaughter between the fan base. And let me know in the comments what your guys' true thoughts are of the Wildlife. For me, it just never did nothing the past 15, 20 years, and it's still not doing nothing for me, after all those years. So I don't know. There's some decent tracks on there, but it just kind of felt like a leftover album. And I know the band liked it when it came out, like they were happy with it from the interviews and such. But it's just I don't know. It just misses the mark. It's like that's not really what 19 they didn't get serious enough. I don't know if that's the right word. Like I don't know if their music got mature enough, if you will, for 1992, because you had obviously you had like sleaze metal out doing great things at this time in 91 and 1992. So some of these poppier hair metal bands were able to make the transition into that like sleazier, darker side, and it worked. But I would say Slaughter, they were kind of like they weren't sure if they were going to do that, unlike what they did a couple years later with Fear No Evil. But we will get to that. All right, so coming in here at number 4 is going to have to be Back to Reality. Now, I have to say, this is the one that I just recently picked up a couple months ago. This is the last album that I needed from Slaughter to finish out the catalog because I had all the other ones for years and years. And this is the one that just I never really came across it physically, like in person. So I did have to do a little bit of searching for this. And I have to say, I was impressed with it as far as 1999, like a lot of bad things was happening in 1999 as far as like these OG bands, from hair metal, glam metal, and whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I was pretty impressed with this. Like some of the tracks on here, like Killing Time, Dangerous is cool, and the ballad on here, Love Is Forever, is certainly probably my favorite song off of this album, and one of my favorite Slaughter songs at the moment, I would say. Really good stuff, really good. But then again, here we are looking at about 11 tracks, give or take. I think if you could have cut one or two of these off, and it would have been a little bit stronger. But nonetheless, you do have a pretty good album for all things considering in 1999. Now, are you gonna put it up against something from the early 90s, the late 80s? Of course not. But I think for the time, you could have an argument to be made that it sounds good. It sounds like Slaughter, and I would say certainly the album before this, people might have said, "Oh no, this is kind of they're trying to venture out a little bit." They kind of went back a little bit to what Slaughter is, and now this one is the album without Tim Kelly and with Jeff Blando on guitars. And there's not really anything that I could really say huge negative or huge positive. It's fine. The guitar works fine, stuff like that. But there is a couple songs on here that kind of give me like a little bit of a Zach Wild feel, like Black Label Society feel, like just some of the effects on the guitar and like some of the riffs. Like there, I took notice of that the times that I have listened to this, and every time I hear a couple of these songs, I'm like, oh, that kind of has that feel to it. But nonetheless, Nothing Left to Lose is decent, the final track. But it's an album that I probably won't really visit that much, because like at the end of the day, I don't really visit Slaughter that much anymore. But I would say certainly for 1999, you can do a hell of a lot worse than this. But, for what it is, it's certainly listenable. You can still listen to it. I would say probably half the album is kind of like filler a little bit, and then the other half is like really listenable. Like, yeah, you're there for it. But nonetheless, though, good album for 1999. And it comes in here at number 4. Yo, what's up, guys? I just wanted to jump in right here in this video and say thank you so much for watching so far and for watching all the other videos as well that we post. And also, can you guys click the like button? Help us get out, push us out into the YouTube algorithm for all other metal fans to find us and to find this music. And also, fans that aren't aware that they're fans of this music and of these bands and such that we like to talk about here. And also, too, if you guys want to subscribe, hang out, build this community up like it used to be back in the golden era of rock and metal, especially in the 80s and such. That's our goal here, and it takes me and every single one of you guys as well to keep this genre alive, and keep it prospering into the future. So that is a big goal on this channel. So if you guys are down with that, I have nothing else for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will get right back into this video. All right, we are here at number 3 now, guys, and that is going to be 1997's Revolution. Now, this one here is certainly a little bit change of pace, if you will, a little bit of the difference of a sound. Now, like, it's still rock, hard rock, but there is a very psychedelic feel, if you will, to this album. Obviously, as you can tell by like the cover and the CD and like the inserts, like that was kind of like the production and vibe and feel of these songs and of the album that they were trying to, make you feel and make you hear. And you can certainly feel and hear that. But nonetheless, it's not horrible, I would say. You do it like I would say certainly side A is where it's at, and side B is a little bit weaker. But I mean, you had American Pie, lead off track is decent. Tongue and Groove is like a tongue in cheek song, like that would have fit right in the late 80s, with different production, different sound. Like it does sound like 1997, though, psychedelic feeling as well. Can We Find a Way is a decent ballad. Stuck on You's cool. Hard to Say Goodbye is fine. Like, In the Heat of the Moment has like a very good vibe, atmospheric feel to it. 13 tracks though. 13 tracks once again. And it's a little too long. Like, take some of these tracks out and you have a stronger album, and I don't know, guys. It's a good album. It is like I'm not gonna get on a hill and die for it though, but it is listenable. Like I certainly listen to this album and songs off of this album than anything off of the previous 2 that we had talked about, other than maybe "Love Is Forever," because that song is just absolutely great. That "Love Is Forever" could have fit in any of the first 2 albums and just been awesome. Like one of the better songs on the album, but. As far as Revolution goes, nothing wrong at all with it, other than because I'm not the biggest like 60s feeling listening, like the hippie kind of vibe and production, and just that type. There is a little bit of that to it here, like that tone to it, but I think it works though. I can appreciate the attempt here because in 1997. It doesn't matter what you would have done. Nothing would have sold from Slaughter. So, but it is something a little different. I can dig it. Like there are some good tracks on here. But nonetheless, Revolution still comes in at number 3.
Hey, this is Michael Kelly Smith from Brittany Fox. You're watching the Crash Course Metal Show. Rock on.
All right, we are here in the top 2, and this is where it was kind of tough for me. Because these are the 2 albums I do visit when I do visit Slaughter. These are the 2 albums that I visit the most. And it was actually a little bit harder than I thought, these 2, putting them. But as of right now, guys, I am going to have to put 1995's Fear No Evil. Now, yes, this album, I have nothing but great things to say about this album. So yes, it is 1995 though, and you could put out a great album like Fear No Evil here, and it would still not do much. Now, although I have seen Can't verify it though, but I have seen people that say that this did sell 500,000 copies. So that would mean it went gold. But I don't have no like source necessarily to prove that. That's something I'm gonna have to dig deeper in. But I did see it on Wikipedia, and you don't know if that's 100% or not. So I'm just gonna throw that out there as a possibility, which wouldn't necessarily surprise me based on how good this album is. But it is 1995, and nothing survived in America in 1995 as far as hair metal bands producing that kind of music still. So, yes, but nonetheless, look at this picture here of the band. This is what they needed to look like or sound like even in 1992. Take the wildlife out. This album is where it should have been in 1992. I think Slaughter would I wouldn't say be looked differently looking back on. I don't know how I want to say this as far as like because I feel like the wildlife is it's just there and not many people hold it up as like, oh yes, this is an album just in general that you need to listen to, like you do say the debut. And I think now, yes, 1992, not much would have done Jack, because obviously the wildlife did go gold, but that's riding off the back of the debut because the debut was still ranked in the top 200 Billboard chart after a full year in 1991 after it came out. So, I mean, Slaughter was still selling, and I think the reason why some of that sales stopped for the wildlife is because it's just not that good of an album, and now if you would have fucking put, you know, Live Like There's No Tomorrow, Get Used to It as a video and a single, get the fuck out of here. That would have been awesome. Like Get Used to It is one of Slaughter's best songs. Bar none. Like bar none.
Am I wrong?
No.
Am I wrong?
It's a party song. It's just a badass song, an anthem, if you will. Great chorus. Like I listen to Get Used to It 9 times out of 10 over Up All Night. Now, Up All Night's a great song. Don't get me wrong, but Get Used to It, I think, is like the holy grail as far as like that one song that you need to listen to from Slaughter. So yes, this is a damn good album. Now, there were some problems with it within the band, people getting hurt, law, getting in trouble with the law, just different things going on. So, like a lot of this album was written in 1992 and 1993, but it wasn't able to be released in 1995. So that could hurt too. Now, if it would have been released in 1993, 94, maybe you could have fared just slightly better, but you're still late at that point, and trying to sell a platinum album to the masses, in hair metal here. So, but nonetheless, like I said, Live Like There's No Tomorrow, great opening track, heavy. Get Used to It's heavy in your face. Searchin's really cool, atmospheric, has a really nice vibe to it. Let the Good Times Roll is fine. Breakdown and Cry is like a decent blues song. I actually really dig that. That's one that kind of like I forgot about, and when I was doing research for this, I was like, you know what? That's one that kind of slipped through the cracks because I haven't really dove deep into this album, like actually put the CD in and listen to it all for many a years. I know a good portion of this album, but there were some songs that just did not make the iPod years and years ago when I bought this. So, but also too, Out of My Head's cool, good one. Yesterday's Gone is a decent, pretty good, actually a pretty good ballad. Another one probably that I would throw in the top third of Slaughter's ballad catalog, if you will. But nonetheless, this is a good album. Now, All Music wrote a review, and they were like, well, this is, and I quote, Slaughter never were among the best pop metal groups, hair metal groups, glam metal groups, lacking the hooks and charisma to make it to the top. But Fear No Evil shows that they could rock harder than anyone would have expected. I agree with that last part. because this is a heavy album for Slaughter. Like when I first heard this album, I was like, holy shit, this is good, but like obviously heavier. It's a different good than the debut. Obviously, the debut is more mainstream feeling, easily digestible for a normie. Production's good. This is different. Like it has like all those elements of the debut, but just sleazy. Like obviously, like I showed you the picture here, like of them, they had that sleaze look. Like they kind of look like a Rhino Bucket or something. They look like that, and they give off that vibe more on this album, and it's just absolutely great. So here's the band again in the back, just more like obviously stripped down. Now they always did have like a little bit of that stripped down look. They weren't very glammy, nothing like All Systems Go with Vinnie Vincent. They didn't look anything like that, but this is the sleaze metal look right here. And even then, it's a little too late for sleaze metal then, too, to try and pull that off. But I give them credit. I give Slaughter credit with this album. One of my favorites from Slaughter, obviously, putting it here at number 2.
You have one chance when you're young, to live out your dreams, as far as being like, what you would consider like a rock star or whatever. So I left college for a while, and my parents, they, believe it or not, they understood, even though I was like, my brother and sister, they dropped out of high school when I was, like the only kid that ever been to college in the family, and they were really proud of me, but they supported me anyway, and I left, I struggled for a while, on just, a bar band touring around the States, the Midwest, and just about the end of my limit I told myself by the time I turned 22, if I hadn't started, at least making, real headway into a career in music, I was going to go back to school. And I had him hold my scholarship for me. And right around that time, I heard that Mark and Dana were looking for, some new guys for a band.
But at number 1, guys, we are going to have to put Stick It To You, the debut. 1990, sold 2 times platinum. Like I said earlier, was in the top 200 Billboard charts for almost 2 straight years at the end, or pretty much into 1992. The year-end charts of 1991, they were still in the top 100. Like, this album came in, kicked ass, took names. Like, it did what they wanted it to do, obviously. So, but then, you do have, like, all these singles here. Fly to the Angels. I don't really need to... It's a good song, but I don't need to hear it again. It's starting to get played out a little bit. Up All Night's a great anthem. Nothing wrong with it. Eye to Eye, a great song to lead off the album. Burning Bridges is fun. She Wants More. I will say She Wants More. I like it. I always liked it. But it's one that is very skippable, though. Like, I do find it, like, comical and funny, like, in a good way. Just because, like, his girlfriend's out spending money and shit like that, charging up the credit cards and shit. Like,
so I put 2 and 2 together there, hey, and decided that you're pissing me off.
It's funny, but it's one that I have no issue with skipping at the same time. But still, a song worthy of checking out. Mad About You is a great riff, great beat to it. Rhythm, just great rhythm as well. Dana and Blas are always in the pocket, always sounding good. It had that great rhythm on this album, and even on Fear No Evil as well. That's Not Enough is awesome. You're the One's a decent ballad, feeling, I would say a ballad anyway. Desperately is cool. Like, so originally you had over 13 songs on here, and god damn it, all of them are pretty strong. Like, it's a pretty strong album throughout. You end off with Desperately and Loaded Gun. That's a damn good closer. Like, I'm cool with this album. Like, this is a damn good album. I remember when I first got this album, and it always got better over time. Well, maybe not necessarily over time. Within the first, like, year or two I had it, it got better and, stood at that place even to the day, holding a similar place in my heart. Doesn't get worse. If anything, it does get better. Like, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with this album. Certainly deserving of number 1. But some days, guys, you could put Fear No Evil. I would debate Fear No Evil. But I think just the sheer playability of putting this album on and walking away and not skipping a damn song and being hooked into all the songs on the album. You can't beat that. You can't beat it. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Great solos too. Like everything you want from 1990 pop metal or mainstream hair metal. You know, like that. This is it. This is it. Firehouse, Warrant, like they're right there in that mix. You know, great stuff all the way around. And you know, this is something interesting as well. Like Dana Strum always did the production for all of these albums for Slaughter, and he did produce like other bands too, like Kick Tracy. Like Kick Tracy, No Rules. That's a damn good album as well. But like that's always interesting. Like you always wonder, like if they did bring someone in from the outside, what would be different? How would they sound different? Like would they be even better? Which is a possibility, or they could have been worse. Like it's kind of hard to think that they would have been worse, but there's always that potential they could have been better though too. So, but nonetheless, like they can't complain with the career that they got. Like they sold well, all things considering, you know. And I know plenty of bands that would wish that they were in their spot, you know, instead of what a lot of the bands beneath them ended up getting in a few years to come. So, nonetheless, Slaughter's a great band. Check them out. It's just one of the bands that I say I haven't visited much lately, I will say. So this was a nice exercise to visit all these albums again. It was just awesome, just singing along to these choruses. Like, it doesn't get much better, though. Like, and when I say I haven't visited these albums or Slaughter much, it's not because Slaughter's bad or by any means or anything like that. It's just because this whole genre, this whole hair metal genre, especially during the golden age of like 86 to 93, so much good shit out, so much good stuff, good bands and good albums. Like there's not a shortage of any of that. So when you're comparing things like that, you kind of have to put bands in a certain tier. And, you know, that's the only reason why I say that I haven't visited Slaughter. It's not because they're not good. They are damn good. So, guys, Stick It To You is going to be number 1. And then we had here coming in at number 2, we had Fear No Evil. Very, very good. Certainly worth checking out because that's an album that not many people know about, especially even like people that are aware of Slaughter. You know, I wouldn't say necessarily Slaughter fans, but just aware of who Slaughter is. Then you had here at number 3 is Revolution from 1997. And then you had here at number 4, Back to Reality. And then to finish up at number 5, I don't know why I have 2 copies, but it is The Wildlife. But like always, guys, let me know in the comments what your ranking is of all of these Slaughtered albums.
Talk to me.
And thank you so much, guys, for watching another episode of the Crash Course Metal Show and hanging out with me. We have plenty more yet to produce and give you guys yet that is just over here waiting to be released. So, guys, until next time, stay out of that collateral damage. And if you guys enjoyed this ranking piece, check out the whole series right here.
Yeah, I wrote that. It's called I Want to Rock Your Body. And then in parentheses it says to the break of dawn.